The inner workings of the British royal family can often seem like a tangled web of traditions and etiquette. However, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find that the relationship between Prince Andrew and Princess Anne is a mix of sibling rivalry, differing public images, and the personal dramas that have affected their royal duties. As Prince Andrew faces his own set of challenges, Princess Anne's unwavering dedication to her responsibilities really highlights just how different they are. But hang on, there's more to uncover. Let's dive into the surprising truth about Prince Andrew's relationship with Princess Anne. The tension between Prince Andrew and Princess Anne. There's no denying that Princess Anne has a pretty well-known dislike for her brother Prince Andrew. This isn't just your typical sibling rivalry, it runs much deeper. Being the second child, Anne found herself behind her younger brothers in the line of succession because of the old rules that favored males. But her frustration with Andrew goes way beyond those royal rules. One major issue adding fuel to the fire is the feeling of favoritism in the royal family. Andrew is often seen as the Queen's favorite, enjoying privileges and attention that Anne and even Charles didn't get. This has left Anne feeling resentful, especially since she's known for her hard work and no-nonsense attitude, while Andrew often stands out for his laid-back and sometimes controversial antics. The public and the media have noticed this sibling tension. Shows like The Crown have highlighted their conflicts, sometimes exaggerating the drama for entertainment. But before we get too deep into their family drama, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. King Charles III isn't just the British monarch. He's also the big brother to his three siblings, Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. As the oldest, Charles has been in the spotlight from a young age, with the expectations of becoming king weighing heavily on him. Then there's Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, who has carved out a strong identity within the royal family. Finally, we have Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, and Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh, rounding out this royal family circle. Throughout Queen Elizabeth II's remarkable reign, her children were often seen right by her side. Their lives were about more than just royal duties. They were there for each other, supporting one another through the unique pressures that come with being part of the most famous family in the world. As they grew up, their roles within the family changed, and their public responsibilities became more important. Now that King Charles has taken the throne, the dynamics of the royal family have naturally shifted. His reign marks a new era for the monarchy, shaped by his personal experiences and relationships with his siblings. Princess Anne and Prince Edward have stepped up as key supporters for their brother, just like they did for their mother during her time as queen. Together, Anne and Edward not only provide family support, but also a sense of continuity and stability for the monarchy during this period of change. And it's a two-way street. Back in June 2024, Princess Anne faced a worrying incident at her country home that left her with minor injuries and a concussion. Buckingham Palace quickly reassured the public about her condition, making it clear that King Charles was kept in the loop throughout the whole situation. The palace also emphasized that he, along with the rest of the royal family, sent their fondest love and well wishes to Anne for a speedy recovery. This heartfelt response from King Charles shows just how strong the bond is between him and his siblings. However, not everything has been smooth sailing for Charles and his royal siblings. Differences in upbringing that made things tense. Prince Charles was born on November 14, 1948, and from a young age he knew he had some big shoes to fill. As the eldest child of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, he understood that one day he would inherit the throne. Just under 2 years later, on August 15, 1950, Princess Anne was born. The two shared a close bond as they were the only kids around before their mother became queen in February 1952. That was a huge turning point for them. Suddenly, Charles found himself directly in line for the crown. Fast forward a decade, and the royal family welcomed two more members. Prince Andrew arrived on February 19, 1960, and Prince Edward followed on March 10, 1964. By this time, Charles was already in his teenage years, and his role as the big brother became even more important. The age gap between him and his younger brothers, 12 years with Andrew and 15 years with Edward, often put Charles in a more guiding, almost parental role. This unique family setup has really shaped the close-knit relationships they have today. Even now that King Charles has taken the throne, those sibling bonds remain strong, with each of them still supporting one another. So, how did their birth dates play into all this? By the time Prince Andrew came along, Queen Elizabeth had already been on the throne for 8 years. This gave her the chance to really settle into her role as monarch, which likely made her a bit more relaxed and maybe even a more flexible mother compared to when she first started out. So, Andrew grew up in an environment that felt less pressured than what his older siblings experienced. King Charles and Princess Anne were raised during those early years of the Queen's reign, when her royal duties often kept her super busy, leaving her with less time to focus on being a mom. Because of this, there's been a lot of talk about favoritism towards Andrew. He enjoyed some privileges that weren't as easily available to Charles and Anne when they were kids. For example, Andrew's education was quite lavish. He attended some elite schools, including Gordonstoun, which his siblings also went to, but Charles faced a lot more scrutiny and had to deal with higher expectations as the future king. Andrew's lifestyle has also added fuel to the fire. He's known for living it up in luxury and freedom, which just makes people feel like he's the favored one in the family. The public and media have definitely noticed these differences, often criticizing Andrew's privileged upbringing. His seemingly carefree and extravagant way of life stands in stark contrast to the more duty-focused and reserved lives of Charles and Anne. This scrutiny became even louder as Andrew found himself caught up in controversies later on, with many pointing to his upbringing as a reason for his sense of entitlement and lack of accountability. So let's take a closer look at the lives of Princess Anne and Prince Andrew to see how they really differ and how that difference has led to some friction between them. The life of Princess Anne. Princess Anne made her grand entrance into the world on August 15, 1950 at Clarence House, all while her maternal grandfather, King George VI, was still reigning. As the second child and only daughter of Princess Elizabeth, Duchess of Edinburgh, who later became Queen, and Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, her birth was celebrated with a 21-gun salute in Hyde Park, a classic royal tradition. She was baptized in the music room of Buckingham Palace on October 21, 1950, by Archbishop Cyril Garbett. When she was born, Anne was third in line to the British throne, right behind her mother and older brother Charles. But after her grandfather passed away in 1952 and her mother took over as queen, Anne moved up to second in line. Over the years, with new royal babies joining the family, her spot in the line of succession changed, and she currently sits at 17th. For her early education, Anne was looked after by a governess named Catherine Peebles, who was responsible for teaching her and her brothers, Charles, Andrew, and Edward, at Buckingham Palace. Peebles ensured that the young royals received the solid foundation expected of kids in their position. To give Anne a chance to socialize with other girls her age, just like her mother and aunt had done when they were young, a Girl Guides company was set up at Buckingham Palace in May 1959. This group let Anne make friends and have fun with other kids until it wrapped up in 1963. The same year she started at Benenden School, a boarding school. At Benenden, Anne really shone as a hardworking student, and she completed her studies there in 1968. Soon after, in 1969, at just 18, Princess Anne dove into her royal duties, showcasing the grace and dedication that would become her signature style. During her early adulthood, her personal life made some waves in the media, particularly because of her relationships. In 1970, she had a brief fling with Andrew Parker Bowles, who later tied the knot with Camilla Shand. Camilla would eventually deepen her ties to the royal family when she married Anne's older brother, King Charles III. Anne also had a short romance with Richard Meade, an Olympic equestrian, which highlighted her own love for horses, a passion that's still a huge part of who she is today. In the spring of 1971, she made quite a splash by finishing fourth at the Russell Horse Trials, an achievement that hinted at her future triumphs. At just 21 years old, she snagged the individual title at the European Eventing Championship, riding her homebred horse Doublet. This amazing win earned her the BBC Sports Personality of the Year award in 1971. But that wasn't all. Anne also found success in horse racing. She took part in prestigious events like the Grand Military Steeplechase at Sandown Park Racecourse and the Diamond Stakes at Royal Ascot, proving her versatility as a rider. Throughout her career, Anne has proudly represented Britain, showing her talent and commitment to her equestrian pursuits. For over 5 years, Princess Anne was a vital member of the British eventing team, clinching silver medals in both individual and team events at the 1975 European Eventing Championship. Her dedication to the sport reached a pinnacle when she competed in the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal. Riding the Queen's horse Goodwill, Anne encountered a challenging course and suffered a concussion halfway through. Remarkably, she remounted and completed the event, showcasing her tenacity. However, despite her efforts, the British team had to withdraw from the competition due to injuries sustained by 2 other horses. Anne also made her mark at the badminton horse trials, finishing 4th in 1974 and 6th in 1979, having participated 5 times between 1971 and 1979. In 1985, she took part in a charity horse race at the Epsom Derby, finishing 4th, which further demonstrated her commitment to equestrian sports. Beyond her athletic accomplishments, Anne's influence extended into the equestrian community as she served as the president of the Fédération Équestre Internationale from 1986 to 1994. On February 5, 1987, she made history as the first royal family member to appear as a contestant on a television quiz show, participating in the BBC panel game A Question of Sport. Additionally, she has been a longtime patron of the Riding for the Disabled Association since 1971, becoming its president in 1985, a position she continues to hold with pride. In June 2024, Anne's equestrian journey took a serious turn when she was hospitalized at Southmead Hospital due to minor injuries and a concussion, believed to have resulted from an impact with a horse's legs or head. This incident served as a reminder of the inherent risks in her beloved sport, highlighting her resilience and dedication to equestrianism. Princess Anne's personal life, especially her marriages, has attracted considerable public interest. She first met Mark Phillips, a lieutenant in the 1st Queen's Dragoon Guards, at a gathering for horse enthusiasts in 1968. Their engagement was announced on May 29, 1973, and they married later that year on November 14 at Westminster Abbey. Following their wedding, the couple moved to Gatcombe Park, where Phillips was offered an earldom, a title he chose to decline. This decision meant that their children, Peter and Zara Phillips, were born without royal titles. Together, Anne and Mark had 5 grandchildren. Despite sharing custody of their children, Anne and Mark's marriage eventually deteriorated, leading to their announcement of separation on August 31, 1989. Just a few months later, on April 13, 1992, Anne filed for divorce, which was finalized 10 days later. Anne's second marriage to Timothy Lawrence, a commander in the Royal Navy, began quietly. Their relationship developed in early 1989, 3 years after Lawrence was appointed as an equerry to the Queen. The couple exchanged private letters, a fact that was later revealed by the Sun newspaper, igniting public speculation about their relationship. Anne and Timothy Lawrence were married on December 12, 1992, at Crathy Kirk near Balmoral Castle in Scotland. The intimate ceremony was attended by about 30 guests. Unlike the Church of England, which had stricter guidelines regarding remarriage after divorce, the Church of Scotland allowed for the remarriage of divorced individuals under certain conditions. This facilitated Anne's status as the first royal divorcee to remarry since Princess Victoria Melita of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, a granddaughter of Queen Victoria. This marked a significant moment in royal history, reflecting changing attitudes towards divorce within the monarchy. Princess Anne and Timothy Lawrence have been happily married for over 30 years, enjoying a notably stable relationship, especially amid the often tumultuous lives of the British royals. Although the couple chose not to have children together, Timothy has been a supportive stepfather to Anne's children from her first marriage. Their partnership is characterized by a low-profile lifestyle, allowing them to maintain a sense of normalcy despite their royal status. Princess Anne is renowned for her tireless work ethic, often undertaking numerous duties and engagements on behalf of the sovereign. She frequently outpaces other royal family members in the number of official appearances, solidifying her reputation as one of the hardest-working royals. Her dedication to various charitable causes, including organizations like Save the Children and St. John Ambulance, as well as her active role in the International Olympic Committee, underscores her commitment to public service. Despite her demanding schedule, Anne maintains a strong sense of individuality and pragmatism, often driving herself to engagements and managing her own hair and makeup. As the seventh Princess Royal, she has become a symbol of British tradition and resilience, embodying the grace and fortitude expected of the royal family. Widely regarded as a national treasure, Anne is admired for her straightforward personality and unwavering dedication to her role as a senior royal. In stark contrast, her younger brother Prince Andrew has faced a very different path in life. Let's delve into his story for a broader perspective on their contrasting experiences within the royal family. The life of Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew came into the world in the fancy Belgian suite of Buckingham Palace on February 19, 1960. He made history as the first child born to a reigning British monarch since Princess Beatrice back in 1857. His baptism took place in the music room at Buckingham Palace on April 8, 1960, which sounds pretty grand. For his early education, he had a governess looking after him at home. Later, he went to Heatherdown School near Ascot in Berkshire. Then, in September 1973, he followed in the footsteps of his dad and older brother by heading to Gordonstown in Scotland. In 1977, Andrew had a fun adventure and took part in an exchange program at Lakefield College School in Canada. By July 1979, he wrapped up his time at Gordonstown with A-levels in English, history, and economics. That same year, he decided to pursue his dreams of flying and enrolled in pilot training at the Royal Naval College. He signed up to be a trainee helicopter pilot and committed to 12 years of service, starting on May 11, 1979. By September 1, 1979, he was officially a midshipman and began his training at the Britannia Royal Naval College in Dartmouth. He didn't just stop there. He also completed the Royal Marines All-Arms Commando course and earned his Green Beret. Fast forward to September 1, 1981, when he became a sub-lieutenant and joined the trained strength on October 22nd. After his time at Dartmouth, Andrew took to the skies with elementary flying training with the Royal Air Force at RAF Leeming, and then basic flying training with the Navy at HMS Seahawk, where he learned how to fly the Gazelle helicopter. Once he earned his wings, he moved on to advanced training on the Sea King helicopter and wrapped up operational flying training by 1982. Andrew then joined the 820 Naval Air Squadron, serving on the aircraft carrier HMS Invincible. On April 2, 1982, things got serious when the Falklands War kicked off after Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, which are British overseas territory. HMS Invincible played a huge part in the mission to take back the islands, proving to be a key player in the Royal Navy's efforts during that challenging time. When Prince Andrew was assigned to the HMS Invincible, it caused quite a stir within the British government. They were worried about the Queen's son's safety and even suggested moving him to a desk job. But Queen Elizabeth II had other ideas. She wanted Andrew to stay with his ship. During the conflict, he took on the role of co-pilot for the Sea King helicopters on Invincible. He was involved in everything from anti-submarine and anti-surface warfare to Exocet missile decoy operations, casualty evacuations, and search and rescue missions. One particularly intense moment for him was witnessing the Argentinian attack on the SS Atlantic conveyor, which really drove home how dangerous his job was. After the war, when the Invincible returned to Portsmouth, the Queen and Prince Philip were there to greet the crew along with other families in a warm welcome home. There were even rumors that the Argentinian military had considered trying to assassinate Andrew in July 1982, but thankfully that didn't happen. Though he had some brief stints on HMS Illustrious, Arnie S. Culdrose, and the Joint Services School of Intelligence, Prince Andrew continued to serve on Invincible until 1983. His piloting skills were well regarded, with Commander Nigel Ward praising him as an excellent pilot and a very promising officer. After the war, Andrew's naval career kept moving forward. In late 1983, he switched to RNAS Portland to train on the Lynx helicopter and got promoted to lieutenant on February 1, 1984. Shortly after, Queen Elizabeth II made him her personal aide-de-camp. He then served as a flight pilot aboard HMS Brazen until 1986, which included a deployment to the Mediterranean as part of the standing NRF Maritime Group 2. Andrew didn't stop there. He advanced his military education by taking the Lieutenant's Greenwich Staff Course, and in 1986, After being given the title of Duke of York, he completed a helicopter warfare instructor's course. He then served as a helicopter warfare officer in the 702 Naval Air Squadron at RNS Portland until 1988, and continued to be part of HMS Edinburgh's crew until 1989. From 1989 to 1991, Andrew was the flight commander and pilot of the Lynx HAS-3 on HMS Campbelltown. He also took on the role of Force Aviation Officer for the standing NRF Maritime Group 1, while Campbelltown was the flagship of NATO in the North Atlantic. After completing more training and exams, Prince Andrew was promoted to Lieutenant Commander on February 1, 1992. He took charge of the Hunt-class mine hunter HMS Cottesmore from 1993 to 1994. Andrew kept climbing the naval ranks, becoming the senior pilot of 815 Naval Air Squadron, which is the largest flying unit in the Fleet Air Arm from 1995 to 1996. In this role, he was in charge of flying standards and making sure everything was operationally sound. On April 27, 1999, he was promoted to commander and wrapped up his active naval career at the Ministry of Defense in 2001, where he worked as an officer in the Diplomatic Directorate of the Naval Staff. He officially retired from the active list of the Navy in July 2001, but that didn't mean he was done with titles. Andrew continued to receive honorary promotions, becoming a Rear Admiral on February 19, 2010, and then a Vice Admiral 5 years later. However, things took a turn in January 2022 when Prince Andrew decided to stop using his honorary military titles. This came after a public uproar from over 150 veterans from the Royal Navy, RAF, and Army, who urged Queen Elizabeth II to strip him of these titles due to his involvement in an assault civil case. Despite this controversy, he kept his service rank of Vice Admiral. Speaking of controversies, this isn't the first time Prince Andrew has made headlines for the wrong reasons. His behavior has been a source of tension among the late Queen Elizabeth's children, leading to quite a bit of family drama. The scandals surrounding Prince Andrew have added a complicated layer to the royal family's dynamics. Prince Andrew's controversial connections. Prince Andrew's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, an American financier who was convicted of trafficking in 2008, has attracted a lot of attention and scrutiny. Their relationship, which involved public outings and social events, sparked criticism and calls for Andrew to step down from his position as trade envoy. By July 2011, Andrew's role as trade envoy came to an end, and he cut ties with Epstein. But the drama didn't stop there. In December 2014, a court filing in Florida claimed that Andrew was involved in inappropriate activities with a minor, Virginia Giuffre, who was allegedly trafficked by Epstein. Buckingham Palace quickly denied any wrongdoing on Andrew's part. However, Giuffre stated that she had encounters with him in London, New York, and on Epstein's private island. Andrew's representatives contested the authenticity of related photos and statements, insisting they were not credible. In April 2015, a judge ruled to remove certain allegations from the public record without making any judgments about their truthfulness. Over time, more claims emerged from former staff members and other sources, but legal investigations have produced mixed results. Then in August 2021, Giuffre filed a lawsuit accusing Andrew of assault and emotional distress, which was settled out of court in February 2022. This settlement did a number on Andrew's reputation, leading him to take on fewer public roles and lose government funding. And there's even more to this story. From 2001 until July 2011, Prince Andrew was the United Kingdom's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. In this capacity, he was meant to represent and promote British trade interests at global trade fairs and conferences. However, his time in this role was overshadowed by various controversies that ultimately led to his resignation. In February 2011, Shadow Justice Minister Chris Bryant publicly criticized Andrew in the House of Commons, alleging troubling associations with people like Saif al-Islam Gaddafi and convicted Libyan arms smuggler Tariq Kaitouni. Things really heated up for Prince Andrew when it came to light that he had hosted Sakr el-Matari, a member of Tunisia's corrupt regime, for lunch at Buckingham Palace during the Tunisian Revolution. This wasn't the only questionable association. His ties with Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, who has been widely criticized for corruption and human rights abuses, also left a stain on his reputation. Between 2001 and 2014, Andrew met Aliyev a whopping 12 times, drawing a lot of negative attention. Said that even though he didn't earn a salary for his role as a trade envoy, Andrew faced backlash for his frequent use of government-funded trips, which earned him the cheeky nickname Air Miles Andy. In 2010 alone, his expenses skyrocketed to $620,000, which included hefty sums for hotels, meals, and travel. The scrutiny didn't stop there. In 2020, Bloomberg Businessweek reported that Andrew might have used his royal status to help broker deals for Bank Haviland, a bank closely associated with David Rowland. Unfortunately, the official documents about Andrew's business trips are kept under wraps until 2065, making it hard to know exactly what went on during this time. Things got even murkier with allegations surfacing from the U.S. diplomatic cables leak, suggesting that Andrew discussed bribery related to the controversial Al Yamama arms deal, and even made some not-so-nice comments about journalists. Plus, his 2008 hunting trip in Kazakhstan with President Nursultan Nazarbayev and the subsequent $15 million sale of his Surrey mansion to Timur Kulibayev, Nazarbayev's billionaire son-in-law, raised even more eyebrows about potential corruption. Further adding to the drama were claims that Andrew helped secure a massive $385 million contract for water and sewage networks in Kazakhstan, allegedly pocketing a commission of $4 million. It's safe to say that Prince Andrew has had more than his fair share of scandals. Buckingham Palace initially dismissed allegations against Prince Andrew, but critics quickly raised concerns about his actions, accusing him of leveraging his royal status to promote arms sales and bolster oppressive regimes. Activists like Kay Stearman from the Campaign Against the Arms Trade strongly condemned his role, suggesting he acted as a cheerleader for the arms industry, thereby aiding repressive governments. The controversies didn't stop at political and business dealings. They also extended to Andrew's personal conduct. He faced backlash for allegedly making racist remarks, damaging property in Windsor Great Park, and exhibiting abrasive behavior toward reporters and staff. Adding to his woes were financial struggles. Despite receiving a $249,000 annuity from the Queen and a Royal Navy pension, Andrew grappled with significant debt. His troubles were compounded during a 2008 visit to the United States, where he made an insensitive comment regarding the Lockerbie bombing, an act of terrorism in 1988 that claimed 270 lives, primarily Americans. He described the disaster as a tragedy for the people who died, but also controversially suggested it was a tragedy for the people who did it, because it would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Queen Elizabeth II's response to Andrew's behavior was generally understated. Maintaining her characteristic reserve, she often approached family matters with discretion, preferring not to escalate issues publicly. Despite the numerous controversies and challenges Andrew faced, the Queen's measured responses contributed to ongoing friction among her children. As the royal family navigated the complexities of public perception and personal relationships, the dynamics of succession remained a topic of interest, especially with Andrew's mounting troubles and their implications for the monarchy's future. Prince Andrew's higher position in the line of succession compared to his older sister, Princess Anne, has added complexity to their familial and public dynamics. Historically, the British line of succession favored male heirs, a principle established by the Act of Settlement in 1701, which ensured Protestant males inherited the throne over females, regardless of birth order. The succession to the Crown Act 2013 was a pivotal change, abolishing the male preference primogeniture system. Effective in March 2015, it established that the order of succession would be based on absolute primogeniture, allowing the eldest child, regardless of gender, to inherit the throne. However, this change applied only to descendants born after October 28, 2011, leaving the positions of those already in the line of succession, such as Prince Andrew and Princess Anne, unchanged. Despite being further from the throne, Princess Anne has garnered widespread praise for her diligent work and commitment to royal duties. Her extensive charitable endeavors, dedication to numerous organizations, and steadfast approach to her responsibilities have earned her considerable respect and admiration. In stark contrast, Andrew's controversies have overshadowed his royal standing. Family conflicts have also influenced public perceptions of both siblings. One notable incident was the fallout involving Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife. Their publicized issues, including financial troubles and scandals, have amplified scrutiny of Andrew's position and conduct. As a result, while Prince Andrew is positioned higher in the line of succession, public opinion has increasingly favored Princess Anne, recognizing her exemplary service and commitment. The contrasting public images and notable family conflicts have significantly shaped the perceptions of both siblings within the royal family. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it, leaving a comment, and subscribing to our channel so you won't miss our future uploads. And don't forget to check out the unbelievable video on your screen right now.